Sakalikon A.CHIK KU KOBOR unaram caksua koborangko parakat naskang ba daalni kata bicongrang. Kongres ni MDC sakani NPP unapa ni jangbungbangapani bidingo MPCC ni dalgapa bensin pala jeata. Turani MDC badenggaparangoni ko kazinar ani bidingo jeata. Aham aro Forest Department ni mandirang bol cawi sagabakor ma. Asam Meghalaya sima arini bidingo skangapa me kogripri hazagni ko tamtarikuni kolpokolken. BPP aro knam roster system ni gemanthalati onon chung nikchae thokman yuno ungkati kata. Dali chung bapa koborangko paragatna. Kongres ni MDC sakani NPP dolo napna ni jangbungbangpani bidingo MPCC ni dalgapa aru silong ni MP Bensen Palariang pa Principal Salo Jiataha. Jian Michael Ward ni MDC Karnes Sosang aru Mairang ni MDC Baskem Ramtitiang Uachum. MPCC ni dalgapa ni agana ni getari sakani MDC rangko dintang macam uamang NPP dolo napna mangsongani ko sinchingna nanga. Mai bakai uamang sakani NPP dolo napna mangsonga haude anga uamang ko dontona manjawa niba pa bensin pala agana ha. Sosang aro Ramtitiang NPP dolo napode NPP dolo KHADCO Sakchibri MDC dongi Black Patkanok ni takchakapa minister aro NPP ni National Vice President pa Preston Tinsong riang pa butpasalo uni opiso agana ha. Tau NPPO sakchigani MDC rang donga UTPO sakchikeng paksa BM Lanong betal nominate ka mangaman. Andaki yung ngengon wala chakapa saktok MDC rang uska. Turani MDC pa Bernard Marak riang Principal Salo Tribal Jad unggi chakaparani ko katalgapa GHADC ni khazina ani bidingo jiataha pa Bernard Marak ni aganani getade niam geta jainga aru adok gubernur ni Rachakaman ongja GHADC ni sengginang khazinar aniko skangna changgini batte bariataha. Anga rakin jegala jian tribal jat onggi jagparangoniko niam gri khazinar aniko. Uwan Rachakaman niam ungkuja jian Garo Hills tribal jat onggi jagparangoniko kragija dake khazinako rainga. Ado gubernur ni Rachakaman getasa ongna nanga ni pa Bernard Marak aganaha. Aham aro Forest Department ni mandirang rongreng forest japoni ko bol chawi salangi pa gari ko skua prengo rupna geta manaha ni koboro mansoha. Aham Eastern Zone ni President Goira Marak ni aganani getari dingtang rijaponi ko ndaki chawi asam aro gepan biaprangona salang ronginga chem. Asam Meghalaya sima area susujinjing ongi pani bidingo adoknis koto minister pa sangma re baing pa kogri me hazagni kogatam tariko Asam adoknis koto minister pa Himanta Biswa Sarma Baksa damdok tungku ba biaprangni gemen agan gerken ni pa koborna parakataha. Waranga Lampi Borduar Nongwa Matumur Destumria Bloksa Blokni aro Fisher Khanduli onga. Roster system ko maikai kamka achim uko adoknis kotong minister pa Conrad K Sangma Scuba Salo Secretariat Yojana pawano dingtang doli dalgaparang na thokmaniyo thalatyo nangaha ya thokmaniyo HSPDP PGP TMC Congress BPP KNAM UDP NPP bako rang thokaha andiba BPP aro KNAM thalatani ko chungnek chae thokmaniyo ni ongkhat grui khataha. Thokmaniyo reservation polisi gemende chanchija ni Dr. Ricky A.J. Sinkon BPP ni General Secretary aganaha.
How can we speak about the roster system if reservation is not being discussed? So that is what we've been insisting upon the government. And so unless the government talks about the reservation, I think there's no point talking about the roster system. Well, there's no point, discussing about the roster system because, it's like putting the cart before the horse. So, unless you talk about the reservation policy, roster system, discussing and spending time in the roster system, for us as a party, we feel it's just a waste of time.
It doesn't seem to go anywhere. It does not seem to go anywhere. Surprisingly, there's an all-party political meeting, but the all-MD meeting has had yesterday. Was done yesterday. Cabinet meeting was done, which constituted of those same political party. Now, I expected that ample opportunity will be given to those parties who are not in the MDA because never had a meeting and not in the cabinet, because this is the only chance we can really speak. But I think the discussion is more on the same theme again and again, speaking on the same subject, which is relevant and I don't think it's justified.
So you're saying that they are not listening to, your points that the reservation policy needs to be reviewed?
It has to be reviewed. It has to be reviewed, the reservation policy. If it's not done, then this meeting does not solve the purpose.
Indaki BPP aro khnam dolni ongkhati khatoba Congress AITC ROTMC dorangde chu nakani ko paraks kha ha.
Roster system as directed by the court, mandated by the court that we should have a roster system, and the roster system has been put in place to ensure that the reservation policy that we have 40, 15 and 5 is implemented in letter spirit. We are very happy, clarified. So now we have been assured that there will be no discrimination against any community. This misconception has been removed. So we are very happy as Indian National Congress, because we are working for the interests of our young generation to ensure that our youth have a future in the state, our youth have faith in the system, and the government, the Chief Minister has clarified very clear that there will be no community that will be discriminated. The roster system is in place because all along after the reservation policy was enacted, there was no roster system in place. So it's been very clear now, it's been clarified. So the young generation should not worry. There will be no discrimination against any community. As per the reservation policy enacted by the Assembly, that will be followed in that.
There are two sets of departments. One set of departments where we find that the data is ready and they are roster ready. Means after the positions are taken into place, without looking at the whatever appointments have been done in the past, everything will be done with effect from the date that the department should be roster ready, and from there they would be taken forward for all new departments. And there are also departments which are not yet roster ready. So we urge the government that these departments also should be taken into consideration at the earliest, and they be made roster ready based on the data available, because there were some complexities, and like say it was been told, as we all know also, that the education department was first under district council, several schools were under district council, so suddenly to bring them the data right from 1972 is quite difficult. So that the government is studying and they will bring. We had our doubts, we had our queries. One was that I think this was the best kind of positioning that the government can keep itself with, considering the kind of data information and the 50 years behind us that had gone. So if the roster has to be put in place, then this would be, I think, the best way forward. First, to bring all the political parties on board, and after this, whatever the decisions, final decisions will come, the government will give us a presentation, and based on that, we will again be discussing. And the committees, as Honorable Vice President has said, that a committee is being put in place. So that committee also will give further discussions and a platform for us to put our concerns. One thing is that the concern of the citizens regarding the application of the roster on educational seats, the reservation of educational seats. So the roster will not be applied to the seats. So this was one of the stand of the party, and we had put this discussion forward, and the government, of course. So the government has clarified that for any high and technical seat that is being reserved, only the reservation will be put in place, not the roster.
And while implementing this roster system, the government has to ensure that there will be job opportunity. Due to lack of job opportunity, there has been chaos among the youths. That's the main purpose. So we urge upon the government to create more job opportunities and livelihoods.
Tomani machota zaman adoknis kotong minister Pakonet kesangma dingtang dorangni chunukani ko parakatan baksa metel planiko aganaha.
Most of the political parties who are present here right now on the dais with me have seen the presentation and are satisfied seeing what the details are, and concerns have been raised and some clarifications have been sought, and hence we have decided that in order to ensure that all the different concerns that are there are clarified, and hence a committee is proposed to be set up, which will be chaired by our Honorable Health Minister, Kong Ampering, and different members from different political parties will be in it, so that we can allow them to seek clarification and give further suggestions on how they propose that or they suggest that we should move forward. Apart from that, certain clarifications have been sought. We have clarified most of the points. Certain clarifications like whether in the education sector this particular system will apply or not. So we have clarified that the roster is meant for direct recruitment only, and hence it is not meant to be implemented for education purpose, in the sense for the different seats that are there in different education institutions across the country. So on and so forth. There were many other points that were raised, and we have given a complete clarification on that. We have also in the presentation explained to the different political parties that the appointments that have been made from the past, those appointments from 1972 onwards have been done, and we have put them as far as possible from different inputs that we received. We have put them and plotted them. And this data has now allowed us to understand the sequence in which we are now today to continue with the roster. I would like to clarify here today also that all the appointments that were made in the past, in all the decisions that were taken as per the reservation policy, and hence they are completely legally binding on the government. And hence the question of us going back and looking at it and cancelling or making adjustments does not arise. So therefore, these were done and appointed based on the reservation policy, and now after the information and data has been plotted, we are now in a position in some of the departments to understand how we're going to move forward. In the meantime, our members from different political parties have requested that till this committee, which will give us a report or will have a final sitting in the next few days, they have suggested that if we can keep any new advertisements on hold, and based on that we have agreed to that as a government, that we will keep things on hold till the committee is satisfied and gives us a final report and final discussion, which we expect it to be happening in a very, very short time. We will come out with the terms and references, and hence after all these details were discussed, presentations were given, we have seen that most of the political parties have and are satisfied with the discussions that we had. There were certain political parties that have stressed and asked us to discuss on different issues apart from the roster, and they stressed that since the discussion was on reservation roster, they urged that reservation should be discussed, and we have made it very clear to them that this discussion that we are having today is on the roster system, and the reason the word reservation is there because it's the roster on the reservation, and hence the discussion was limited only to the roster system and not beyond that. So those clarifications were made, and based on that, as I said, different political parties have been able to grasp and understand the entire system, and I'm hopeful that now from here they will also explain to the people of the constituencies, of the areas, of the parties, and explain to them how we have ensured that through the different steps and decisions that we are taking, that the interests of different communities throughout the state are protected. So that is what the decisions and the discussions that took place in today's all-party meeting, and I once again would like to thank the political parties for having attended this meeting and having given their valuable inputs.
Yarang san da ali kobora ni swing para kunatum swing pasakan dikon matela.